taking a different approach to the industrial Internet of Things. Joining us today to talk about that, David White, Senior Analyst, ARC Advisory Group. David, welcome.
Thank you, Russell.
David, if somebody were to come to you and say, hey, what's so wrong about the current approach to the way we're dealing with the industrial Internet of Things, what would you tell them?
I think I focus on business intelligence and analytics, and I think those technologies have been around for a long time. I think the term business intelligence was defined back in the 1960s. And so although a lot of the technologies have evolved since then, a lot of the basic principles that were involved are still in place. So, for example, what tends to happen is you collect up all the transactions into your systems of record, the ERPs, the MES, financials, and so on. Some of those transactions take a long time to come in. They might be handwritten, so they have to be transcribed. So they funnel all into the system of record, and then at some point you take a batch transfer, you bundle them all up and you send them across to a data warehouse, and you layer reports and dashboards on top of the data warehouse. So as well as the time delay in getting all the transactions into the system of record, there's also this time delay for the batch transfer across to the data warehouse, which happens periodically. Now, in some situations that might happen daily, it might happen weekly. Sometimes it's as long as a month, sometimes it's as long as a quarter. So, for example, a few years ago I worked with a hospital, and they were trying to improve a process, but they only updated the data warehouse. They checked on the data once every 3 months. And so when you think about it that way, they only have 4 occasions every year where they can actually improve the process. And so a lot of that latency is a challenge, and now we're getting more data coming all the time with big data in the industrial Internet of Things, more data coming faster all the time, and those systems, those processes we had in place in the past really aren't appropriate anymore.
Great retrospective or overview of the way that we did things before. Let's talk about the new approach, though. What's so great about it? Walk us through that.
So a couple of things really need to change. I talked about the latency which is involved in getting from the events that are created to the insight that we get on the back end, which really drives process change. So a couple of things we can do to really try and take some of that latency out. One is, in the past we had these transactional databases where we recorded what happened, and then we had the data warehouse, which was a separate repository. So now there are technologies which let us merge those into a single database. So that idea of taking the batch transfer from the systems of record to the data warehouse, we can eliminate that delay basically. The second area is back in the top end as well, where all those transactions come into the system in the first place. Often there's a delay there as well while we collect all that data up. But because a lot of the data coming in now is so time critical, if we think about the lifetime of a piece of data, the value now is much more loaded towards the front end. So we have an opportunity to really save costs, enhance productivity if we can sample that data early. So we're looking to put the analytics into the data stream much earlier. So a couple of technologies that would let us do that. One's called complex event processing or event streaming. And it's really a rules-based system, but it lets you look at multiple streams of data coming in real time and make intelligent decisions and place alerts about that so that people can understand what's going on. A second technology would be predictive analytics, which again is building mathematical models based on large volumes of data, which again help you to get intelligent insights and make decisions around that.
I'm just wondering if there might be some other technologies that might have a role to play here that might be important in the context of what we're discussing. Are there?
Sure, Russell. I think one of the other things as well is the cloud, which obviously is starting to emerge over the last few years. I think that's going to be critical to a lot of the data here, a lot of the work that's going on here. People are going to have to embrace the cloud and move towards it for analytics. Really for a question of economics. Now, if we look at the cost of raw storage, 20 years ago, it would cost me about $950 to buy a gigabyte of storage. Today, I can get that for 3 cents. So there's a tremendous economic shift in the cost of the raw technology. However, the real cost is in the people. Salaries haven't gone down. People are paid more or less the same what they used to be for system administration. And so there is such an exponential growth in data now. Do people really want to pay employees just to sit around and figure out how to store and capture all that data? Or do you just put it all in the cloud, and then those employees can work on more value-added activities like figuring out how to get to that data and how to do the analytics on it? And so I think the cloud is going to play a very big role here too.
You know, here at the World Industry Forum, the industrial Internet of Things is a big, big, big theme, no doubt about it. Here's the question to you. In speaking to folks here, and of course in speaking to the folks who are viewing this video, what's the takeaway? What is it that you want them to take home from this conference, from this video, in terms of industrial IoT? What do you tell them?
I think a lot of these new analytics technologies we talked about, I think one of the things is they're relatively low risk because they've been proven in other areas. So complex event processing, for example, a lot of financial trading is underpinned by these technologies now. It has been for a long time because they're very good at looking at what's going on in different markets and different currencies and different stocks and so on, and firing off quick decisions and quick transactions around that. So it's a proven technology in financial services. The same is true for predictive analytics. It's been used heavily by consumer-oriented companies in the past to drive targeted marketing, for example, or to try and figure out from the data what tells me that the customer's about to defect or to churn, and what can I do to help them stay with me and to make sure they stay with me as a profitable customer. So those technologies have been proven in other areas, and I think it's just a question now of adopting them more in the industrial setting. So they're relatively low risk, and the payback can be very, very high from getting insight into that data much earlier in the cycle.
Well, not just an overview, but great, great detail here today. David, I know you're busy, but you found time to meet with us and talk about this important topic. Thank you so very much.
It's been my pleasure, Russell. Thank you.
It's David White, ARC Advisory Group, speaking about taking a new approach to the industrial Internet of Things. Thank you for watching.